If you're saying too much, baby, go find less. If you can't keep up, stay below, I guess. If I'm such a big deal, maybe you're too little. Ooh, it's too much. If you're saying...
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is Friday, March 2nd, 2025, and you're listening to Midnight Film Society. I'm your host, Damian Sherman. Joining me today, as always, is...
Derek McDuff.
On today's show, the movie summer season. The summer movie season.
The Weason Lover movie.
It's upon us, and you will know what that means. The Summer Movie Wager 2025 is back. Bwomp, 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 bwomp. We'll break it down, all of our picks, and why I will probably lose mightily again. After that, we'll get into some what I've been watching, including Black Mirror, Season 7, Last of Us, Season 2, The Ballad of Wallis Island, and much, much more. Right into the show. Midnight Film Society at gmail.com. Midnight Film Pod on Threads, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Subscribe to Pocket Cast, YouTube Podcast, and Spotify. Rate and review it on Apple Podcasts. Tell a friend, family member, or stranger. What's up, man? How are we doing?
We are doing well.
Yes.
Take two.
Take two.
A little peek behind the scenes. We have some slight audio difficulties, so we're starting over. But yeah, still doing well. Just recently, I think I mentioned on before, I had my WonderCon panel. Trying to get a Comic-Con panel next. Looking ahead to that. So looking forward to a lot of good movies that are coming out too.
Comic-Con. Which Comic-Con is that? Is that the San Diego one, correct?
The San Diego, the big one, the big Comic-Con, the one you and I were at last year. So, gonna be I got a panel there last year, going for another one this year. So, fingers crossed. Was working on some submissions and stuff like that.
Nice. That's very cool. What is the submission process? Do you like, hey, I'm this person and I have this followers and I would like to have a panel, please.
Something like that. Essentially, yeah. It's not too far off.
Nice. That's cool. So good luck with
that. Pitch them ideas. So I've got a few different panels that I pitched, and we'll see if they like any of them.
Nice, very cool. Can you talk about that at all? The drafts, the possibility.
I cannot.
Okay.
I cannot.
All right, fair enough.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Fair enough. So that's good luck to that, and all of this stuff. Good luck in all of your endeavors.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So without further ado, like I said in the intro, Summer Movie Wager 2025 from the Filmcast. They started this tradition every year. If people don't know, let's set it up for the folks that don't know. You basically just say what movie you think will make the most money domestically. That's the big thing, is domestically. In the U.S., what movie do you think will make the most money at the end of the summer movie season? Ends in, I want to say, late August, early September, I believe. Labor Day is probably the cutoff.
Memorial Day or Labor Day, that's the one.
Yeah,
Labor Day is the week. So beginning of September, I think.
Beginning of September. Okay, so it's kicking off soon. So I think by the time you're hearing this, the cutoff will be over. Every year
because it typically starts. That first big Marvel movie of May. It keeps getting earlier and earlier.
Yeah.
But the first big Marvel movie this summer. And so it's gonna be. The day you're listening to this is like the first official day, although there's like Thursday previews and stuff like that. So, the 30th was the last day to put in your wager. If you're hearing about this for the first time, sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that. So, it should be fun. So let's actually dive into it. We were talking pre-pod and saying we'll reveal our picks on the show. So are you ready, Derek? Do you have your list pulled up?
I have my list pulled up. We're going... We're ascending, right? We're starting at number 10 and going up, right?
Yes, correct. Number 10.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, we'll save
I'm ready to go.
You want to save the dark horses for afterwards?
Yeah, we'll save the dark horses for the end.
Sounds good. So
gotta leave some anticipation for the people.
Yes, exactly. So I will start us off. I was listening to the Filmcast and I was following along with them, and I was like, "Oh God, oh no, oh jeez." So my number 10 is something they had much higher up, and I'm not sure about that. I think it won't ascend. I hope it won't ascend. So my number 10 is How to Train Your Dragon. It's one of your big picks of one of your favorite movies coming out this summer season. So I assume it's going to be higher on your list. But my thought process goes as follows. I didn't see him originally. I don't have that nostalgia in my particular heart, so that's why I put it lower. And like I said, listening to everyone else put it much higher, I'm like, I probably made a big mistake. Just look at the list of other folks in the film cast. How to Train Your Dragon looks like it's in the middle to top 4 of most of their picks. So
yeah, Dave Chan had it as his number 1, which is, I have mine pretty high. It's higher than even that. That's even higher than mine is number 1. That's crazy. But yeah, I have mine pretty high.
Okay, so I'll just say that's my number 10, How to Train Your Dragon. Derek, what is your number 10?
My number 10 is, it's a franchise that I've held close to my heart that's been dormant for a few years, and I feel like the number 10 spot, for people who don't know, the way the point system works is if you get it spot on, you get, I think, 10 points. If you get it spot on, though, at number 10 or number 1, you get 13 points, and then you get 7 points if it's one way, fewer points depending how close it is. But so number 10, I feel like, is always a horror movie, a Black Phone or something like that. Always kind of sneaks in. The best horror movie of the summer usually sneaks in this number 10 spot. And I think this is a movie franchise that a lot of millennials have a lot of nostalgia for. I think that it's right in that sweet spot of, it's been long enough since the last movie released that people are kind of jonesing for it a little bit, but not too long that people have forgotten about it. And that is Final Destination Bloodlines.
Nice. Very good pick.
Yeah. Are you a fan?
Yes.
Final Destination seems like a Damien-esque franchise. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I think we've talked about it before on here.
We have. Yeah. I love horror. Love the Final Destination franchise. Love Devon Sawa as a person. He obviously left that series very early, but yeah, I love the idea, like the Saw series, of there's this long running series with ever more elaborate traps. I feel like the Final Destination and Saw can overlap in that way, where the kills are just what the fuck? It was like the Rube Goldberg.
Goldberg.
Yes. Exactly. It's just this weird, overly elaborate deaths of people. I'm just like, how is this going to happen? And they played with it. I don't know if you've seen the trailer. I don't know if you're an Unsullied like Jeff is on Filmcast, but I watched the trailer, and the trailer is just this. They're playing on expectations of the glass in the glass in the ice is going to murder somebody down their throat. Like, no, they're going to throw it out, and then it just escalates from there. Very excited for this film. Yes.
Yeah, and I've said this before, probably on the show, but I just love this series because, especially the first one and then a little bit the third one, it's just the concept of, it's a slasher movie where the slasher is the concept of death.
Yep.
That's so cool. And the one trailer I did see, it was more of a teaser that I saw, though, was apparently one of the long running people, he's either death or some kind of messenger of death, or he knows the rules of death because he is always the kind of one who explains it to people. Candyman himself, Tony Todd. So it was, I'm glad that Tony Todd, late great Tony Todd, was able to shoot this movie before he died, because it would feel wrong to have a Final Destination movie without Tony Todd. So I'm really glad we're going to get to see him one last time, and I'm sure this one will be dedicated to him.
Yes, definitely. So yeah, looking forward to that. All right, so my number 9 on the summer movie wager is F1. Brad Pitt's F1. This tracks along a lot of people's picks. Looks like Peter Strada has it number 10. Jermaine Lucier has at number 7. So I feel pretty good about this placement. How do you feel about it?
I feel very, very good about this place because my number 9 pick is F1 as well.
Oh,
so
shit.
I think we lined up here on this one because I think this is a movie. It's been reported to be a very expensive movie. And this kind of feels like the right spot for, like I said, number 10 is like a well-performing horror movie. This feels like this is where the kind of original IP usually ends up. Like, this isn't based on anything, but it's it's from a direct. It's the guy who did Top Gun, so I think that's Top Gun. The new Top Gun, Welcome to Maverick. So I think that the goodwill of that is gonna help this movie, get into the top 10. But I think there's too many big franchise movies ahead of it that it's gonna go any higher than 9.
Yes, yeah. Joseph Kosinski, director of the Top Gun sequel. Just Mr. Action dude. So definitely very, very interested to see what he does with this one.
Yeah. So it's a big Apple production. Apple I will say I like Apple because they're still putting out their streaming movies in theaters and giving them a big theatrical push. I think they're teamed with Warner Brothers on this one. And yeah, got the star power. Brad Pitt, one of the few true movie stars left around anymore, even though dude is way too old to be an F1 driver, but should be interesting.
Yeah. Predicting, this is a out there prediction, but I don't think this is going to be Apple's follow-up Dakota. I don't think there's a chance for Best Picture win, right?
I think it could score a nomination,
because
because I think it's got a lot of, like Top Gun got nominated, so it's got a lot of prestige behind it. I think it could get some nominations, maybe in Best Picture, slip into one of those 10 slots, but I don't think it's going to win.
Yeah, no. All right, Derek, what's your number 9?
That was my number 9.
That was your number 9. You said that. Yes. I was all proud of myself. I was like, I remember to ask Derek his number 9. Yay. All right. So moving on.
Good job, buddy.
Thank you. My number 8 summer movie wager is Jurassic World Rebirth. Looking at their list, this is much, much higher. It's at number 2 for most of the folks on the /Filmcast, but I don't have much faith in the quality of this thing. I think the last one left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths in terms of Jurassic World, the property of it. And I think that was not that long ago. So I think this one has a lot to make up for it. I don't know if this is going to make a bunch of money, unfortunately.
That's an interesting point. Here's the thing. The one before this was 2 movies ago was also very bad, and people still came out and saw that last one in droves. It still made a lot of money, less than the one before that. It's diminishing returns.
Yes,
but it still made a shit ton of money. So I think that's thing number 1, that these movies just make a lot of money. I was talking to one of my co-panelists at WonderCon, Trisha. Trisha Rand, and she was saying, like me, Jurassic Park, the original, is like one of her favorite movies. She's like, yeah, they keep making these bad movies, and they'll keep making them as long as people see them. But I don't know how to not go to a Jurassic Park movie. I haven't figured that out yet, and it's exactly the same for me. Although I will say the other thing too, I think that this has going for it is there's no Chris Pratt. It looks like it's a much more pared down movie. You've got Scarlett Johansson. It looks like, at least from the trailers, which I have not been able to avoid, this looks like a better film than the last couple Jurassic World movies. It's a new cast. It's a new premise. It's all that new stuff. So, hopeful that this one is good. And even if it's bad, I think it's still gonna make a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, for myself and for a lot of people, I guess, Jurassic World had the premise right there of the park is not open. That's a pretty interesting premise of Jurassic Park being a thing that actually works for a time. And then the other thing was like, well, it's Chris Pratt. Oh, he can control the dinosaurs. He has like a pet raptor. That's pretty cool too. But this one is just like they're going there to get like, what is the premise? Like they're going there to the island to get some dino DNA or something to bring back to make
they're like, we need to cure cancer, and dinosaurs have the cure in their DNA for some reason. So we got to send a team to go get them. It's like I don't know. It doesn't matter. It looks cool. No, I'm gonna see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I probably will too.
And like I said, it's gonna make money regardless of how good it is.
I think this is way too low for myself. What do you have at your number 8?
At my number 8, this is one I had a lot of trouble trying to pick. But I ended up putting it here at 8. This is Elio, which is the new film from Pixar that's going to be coming out. Obviously, last year, Inside Out 2 crushed it. It was number 1 by a wide margin. The only thing that was even in the same galaxy was Deadpool and Wolverine. But obviously, that's a sequel. That's part of a franchise. Pixar has famously had, in recent years, post-pandemic years, trouble making money at the box office with their original IP. I think a big part of that is because they kept getting dumped on Disney Plus for a while without getting theatrical releases. But as we saw with Elemental, which had a disastrous open, it had really good legs, and it was eventually able to get up, I think, about to this spot. So that's why I've got that one here at number 8, because I think that's where a Pixar original IP is going to live. It might not have a strong opening, but I do think it is going to, like a family film like this, especially when there's not a ton of other family stuff coming out around the same time, that's where this is going to live, and it's going to have good legs.
Yeah, that's it's entirely possible. I think it's a really good pick. Yes, let me go back to my thing here. Yes, yeah, very good pick actually. And the Elio is not on my list, so that's my Craven of this year. That's my big forgetting pick. I always have one that I'm like, oh yeah, fuck.
Yeah. Well, it worked out for you before.
Yeah, it did.
I mean that's why you won that one year, because you forgot to put Fast and Furious on it. It just missed the top 10. So
yes.
You know what? Who knows? It could end up in your favor.
It could. What was the one Jeff picked and it had like 2 weeks left out of the rest of the year? I forget what it was.
I don't even remember. Yeah, it was something like, I can't remember.
Let's see.
I have the list pulled up in front of me.
Yeah, Jeff's picks. Let's see. He had a weird. Freaky or Friday was number 10. I think it comes out the end of August.
That's an insane pick. that's it's not as bad as Craven, but like it's up there.
Yeah, no. Speaking of bad picks, speaking of picks nobody else has, my possible bad picks. I'll say that. I'll say possible. The Bad Guys 2 for my number 7. Again, August 1st, so not a lot of runway to make money back. Looking up the domestic box office of the first one, looks like it pulled in 97 million, which not terrible, not great. So yeah, I remember enjoying the first one. I know, like you were mentioning, with one horror movie always makes the list. I feel like there's one like DreamWorks thing that always makes the list every year. So that's my weird out there pick. Bad Guys 2 for number 7.
It's not terrible,
Yeah.
I won't say whether or not I'm going to be talking about it because I do think you've got the DreamWorks thing is right. I was thinking the last one made a lot of money, and it made a decent amount, but it didn't, I think, crack the top 10 that year. But like now there's some little more IP behind this. I feel like animated sequels usually do better than the original, so we'll see. It's not the worst pick in the world.
Oh, thank you. Let's see. So my number 7, Derek, what's your number 7 pick of this year?
So my number 7, this is one that we talked a lot about. Movies that were much, much higher on the summer movie wager people's lists. This was number 1 for a good amount of them. But I don't have the faith in it that they did. I don't think that people are going to go see this movie. And I think part of that is because they recorded it before Snow White came out, and it just did disastrously at the box office. So I don't have the faith in live action Disney remakes that they do. Little Mermaid did okay 2 years ago, or was it last year? I can't remember. But yeah, so I don't know. So Lilo and Stitch, I don't have the faith. Obviously it's still gonna make money, but I think it's gonna be a relative disappointment. I don't think it's gonna be a Snow White disappointment, but I think it's gonna be my number 7, honestly.
Nice, yeah. Let me see. I won't say where it is. But yeah, it is higher. These things just, like we were saying at the beginning, these bad movies make money. The Disney remakes make a lot of money, even the bad ones, the lesser good ones of those. It's going to be a huge moneymaker, unfortunately. It's going to be a huge moneymaker despite the quality of the thing, not because of it.
That's fair. And I think, the advantage that this has over Snow White is that there's not the nostalgia for the Snow White. There is, but like it's a movie from like 1930s, whereas Lilo and Stitch is a movie from 2003. And the one group of people that consistently goes to the movies is millennials. Millennials are nostalgic as fuck for Lilo and Stitch. They got the Stitch Funko Pops and the like. I know somebody she's got some major autism for Stitch going on. She's got all the Stitch shit, So like I'm like, okay, this one. I could see it, but I just have lost a lot of faith in these live action Disney remakes being able to make money because people seem to not really care about them as much. Little Mermaid was about this spot, I think, last year or
somewhere around there. Yeah. Yep. All right. Yeah. Good argument there. So there's your number 7. My number 6, coming out one day before my birthday, July 18th, is Smurfs. This is the slot. This is the movie that I'm going to put where things like, what were the guys? The Trolls. The Trolls movies are pretty similar to this thing of just like, oh, remember that thing from your, again, talking about childhood? This is like 80s, late 80s, early 90s childhood. But yeah, Smurfs seem, it's a property people know. It's a known quantity. And I think it's going to make a bunch of money.
So yeah, I didn't even really realize that this was coming out.
Yeah.
And I was like, so is this like a live action, or is it part? Because they've done a bunch of animated the Smurfs movies. I guess, is this in that same like continuity? I don't know anything about this.
I don't either. It's directed by Matt Landon and Chris Miller. So one of the, Chris Miller from that team.
It's live action, I guess. I just looked it up. Yeah,
yes.
So I guess this is separate from the other Smurfs movies.
Yeah, and I looked up the box office for the last one. It was 142 U.S. and Canada. So, that's in 2011 money. That's when the last one came out, I believe. Yeah, so
that was when the first one of the animated one.
Oh,
the
okay.
Smurfs.
The
they
Smurfs,
lost
gotcha.
It's cleaner. But there was one that came out like World Tour like 2 years ago, maybe. So
I thought that was Trolls World Tour.
Oh, you're right. You're totally right.
Yeah,
I was getting it confused. That's what I was thinking. It was Trolls this whole time, not Smurfs. My bad. Yes,
domestic. I think Trolls is one of the things where I talk to Andy. Like, I don't know why there's certain things that people say to me, and I'm just like baffled. So we're talking about this on the show because it was coming out that year, and I go, "Yeah, Trolls is coming out." He's like, "Trolls? You're like, what are your kids? They're just making. Why do kids care about Trolls?" And I'm like, dude. People, they think it's going to make money. Like they make terrible movies out of terrible things, and they make a bunch of money as we've seen over the past couple of years. And he was just like, I don't get it, but it's Trolls. It's like the thing we used to watch when we were kids. And I'm like, yeah, dude, it's called nostalgia. Anyways, so yeah, Smurfs is my number 6. Derek, what is your number 6?
Yeah, my number 6 it was actually my number 1 most anticipated movie of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a big franchise. I think this is right about where this franchise usually lives. The last one was a little underperformed. I think this one might do a little bit better because they changed the name, but I don't think it's going to crack the top 5. This might even be too high for it. But it hasn't shown up on your list, so we'll see. That is Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, formerly known as Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 2.
Nice.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, we'll see what, stunts Tom Cruise is pulling off in this, but I think because this is the last one, it might get a little bump. People are going to be rewatching. I think this one, speaking of nostalgia, I think this one, because it's like from the trailers, it's been like hinting like, even the last one was starting to do this a little bit where they brought back Kittredge and stuff like that. But this one really seems like they're going to be like all the shit from all the old Mission Impossible movies. It's going to come back. Like I saw the trailer and I was like, was that the fucking rabbit's foot? I was like, what? They're bringing back the rabbit's foot, the MacGuffin from Mission Impossible 3. Like, so I think this one could get a little bit of that bump and be in the top of that back half.
Yeah, and we know things never end, and it's like it's called the final one. It's called there's all the nostalgia, and people will be like, "Yeah, we know he's never going to stop until he physically
Tom Cruise is like 60, dude. He can't keep making this shit.
62 years young. Yeah. So yes, it's higher up my list, and that's where I'll leave that.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Fair.
So that was your number 6. My number 5. I'm looking down here, and this is one that's like spot on for the Filmcast. Very excited for this film, the Fantastic Four: First Steps. Yeah, very excited for Thunderbolts this weekend, and so very, very excited for Fantastic Four: First Steps, just to see the aesthetic and the tone of it, and to see what a Marvel movie can be. Mostly taking place outside of the continuity. Obviously, this is taking place probably in the 60s or 70s. And so I'm very excited to just see what they're going to do with all the new characters in a new world. What are they going to do? What's a Marvel movie, in 2025 that is sort of hamstrung in that way, that they can't just bring in other characters or make references to other things? There will be, right? There's going to be references to the wider MCU, but I think this is...
Well, yeah. Robert Downey Jr. is going to be
Yeah, of course. But I'm saying for this one particular, hopefully most of it will be...
No, he'll be in it. Like, Robert Downey Jr. is going to be in this one as Dr. Doom.
Fantastic Four, you think he's going to be in that? Yeah, nice. It's a good...
Who's the best? Like, I mean, Dr. Doom is from the Fantastic Four, so I'm pretty sure that's where he's going to show up.
Yes. I was watching a Patrick Willems video the other day about end credit scenes, and he would make the case...
it's a good one.
It is a very good one. Just making the case that an end credit scene now is like an epilogue, or it's like so then it's retroactively making the last scene of the movie a little an ellipses. So it's a very it's a good argument. I agree with it, and be very interesting to see how this one at the end of this movie becomes an ellipses, and the epilogue becomes the bridge to Doomsday, which I think I saw on Instagram. One of the Russos was saying like day one. I'm like, dude, it's a year out. Hurry the fuck up. Like, Jesus Christ. So I am tentatively and anticipating Doomsday and to see how this leads into that. So yeah, that's my number 5.
Interesting. Well, ironically enough, we're not leaving the Marvel Cinematic Universe for our number 5 picks.
All right.
Because my number 5 pick is the movie that opens today as people are listening to it. The other Marvel Cinematic Universe film, which is Thunderbolts ***. So yeah, I think that it's got that first mover benefit. It's not necessarily the biggest names from the MCU. It's obviously I haven't mentioned Fantastic Four yet, so we'll see if that shows up on my list. But I think that this one, it's kind of like the darker, grungier thing. I think it is kind of probably benefit from getting good word of mouth. Like, this one looks a lot better. It's been, apparently people have been saying it's been pretty good, so I think that will help it out a lot. So I think that it's definitely not as big as some of the other Marvel movies, but it does have some good star power. You've got Florence Pugh and stuff in there, so I think this one is going to be, I think this is where we're going to really start seeing movies make money, because I think that this top half of the list, these movies are all going to make $400-500 million.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if it it does fulfill that spot of like, this is where the Avengers used to come out. This is where Captain America's and the Spider-Man was huge in May. And speaking of things like dampening the mood, like the Captain America or Falcon, whatever the freaking Captain America Brave New World, not well received, wasn't that long ago. I wonder if that's going to have an effect on it. Yeah, that'd be very interesting to see. It's good, like you said, getting good press, getting good talk out there. I think that'll help out a lot. And yes, again, obviously, being first out the gate, it does have that long tail. Marvel movies, they tend to do well in the first week and then taper off pretty quickly. So it'd be interesting to see if that actually does help it in the long run. Again, we're in 2025. It's always like that thing of, the movie's coming out in 6 weeks later in VOD. So again, that closing of the window will be interesting to see if that plays an effect as well.
That is very interesting. I will say, not to give this company a lot of credit, but one thing I do really appreciate that Disney is doing is that they have been one of the few companies that is actually standing firm with distributors and the actual theaters, I should say, and saying that we are going to have that 30-day, whatever amount of day it is window, 45-day window. We are not going to release our stuff onto digital and streaming for a good chunk of time, where so many other studios have been like a week, 2 weeks. If it doesn't work in the theater, we're going to put it on streaming right away. And Disney has been actually teaming with theaters to not do that. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's my number. Where are we at? Number 5.
We're at 4. Yes, that was 5. So now we're at 4.
We're at 4. Yeah. So you say you're number 5, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And my number 4. Bum 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 bum. This is where I put Mr. Superman. Definitely very excited to see this. It's, speaking of a long-running franchise of movies, this is James Gunn's first, right? This is his first one in the new, his helming of the DC EU.
It's the new DC, because he did, obviously, just Suicide Squad, but this is a new continuity. DC Universe getting a fresh start here at Superman.
Yeah, definitely. So very excited to see what a new Superman, the actor David Cornsweet's going to do. Interested to see all the new actors playing these characters that we've known for a long time. Very interested to see. I think Nathan Fillion was playing one of the bad guys in here. So
he's Guy Gardner. He's
Guy Gardner.
dorky ass Green Lantern.
Yes, but yeah, just all that stuff. I really love how James Gunn shoots action. He has that heart that's in all the Guardians movies, so that's definitely part of the Superman thing that we've been missing for a long time in the Superman film. So really excited to see that come back in there. And yeah, just really excited to see the movie itself. But I'm that guy. I love the universe building, so I'd be very interested to see what he does with that, and if we do to get some Justice League in here in some capacity.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, you've got a Green Lantern in there, so
yeah,
there's going to be something like that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what is your number 4?
Well, coincidentally, or maybe not.
Yes,
my number 4 is also Superman.
Nice.
For all of the reasons you said, I think we're getting, started with the DC again. People I think are going to be hopeful. There's going to be some good ones. I know DC's floundered a bit in the past, but I think that they're made a big thing about riding the ship. And also I was thinking, oh, well, we just had so many Superman movies. It's like, Superman was in movies, but we haven't had an actual Superman movie in 12 years. Like, Man of Steel was the last proper Superman movie. I know there was Batman v Superman, but this is the first standalone Superman movie in a decade plus. So I think that's going to help it out. I think it's not going to, crack the top 3 because it is still a DC movie. But Superman, he just has the name recognition. I think that goes a long way. If everyone has heard of Superman, and that's going to help this movie a lot. That's a lot less advertising you got to do. That just on name, you're like, what? There's a new Superman movie? Okay, let's go see it.
Yeah. It has some room around it. Fantastic Four comes out a couple weeks later. Smirch comes out a week before that. So it's got some room to play with in terms of being by itself for a while.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. So that was our number 4. Collective number 4 was Superman.
Yes.
Number 3 is where I have Thunderbolts. Yep. So I think it's going to make a bunch of money. Word of mouth early on, all that stuff we said. And yeah, they're doing a lot of press. I'm the type of guy that watches, in addition to listening to the podcast, I watch a lot of interviews with them, and it seems like they're really excited. I think you can always tell when people are doing press for a movie, they're not genuinely excited for it, and they seem all genuinely excited to actually promote this movie. Even they were talking to Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and she was talking about this is my 4th time playing this person. I was like, Jesus Christ, is that true already? It seems like a character they just introduced, but yeah, I guess Captain America and Winter Soldier was her introduction, I think. And then a little bit in Wakanda Forever.
That's way before. That was she shows up in the Falcon and Winter Soldier. That's what you're thinking. Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Falcon and Winter Soldier. Thank you. Was she in one of the not Captain Marvel? I thought she was in a TV show. Black Widow. Was she at the end credit scene of Black Widow?
She's in the end credit scene of Black Widow, the movie.
Yes. So, yeah, very cool. Can't wait to see them all sort of interact. Can't see they've done actually a really good job with the marketing of this thing, where the villain is known. I think if you're a comic book person, you can put 2 and 2 together and be like, oh, okay, I see what's going on. I can see what's how the things are going to progress. But I think they've done a very good job of keeping a wrap on the villain itself and sort of the. I think there's a lot of times they'll do commercials where it's like the end fight scene. Look at this shit, and it's just like, oh fuck, you showed the whole thing. So they've done a really good job with this one and Fantastic Four. For now, they still got a long runway for that one, but for now, I'm very excited to see this as opposed to Captain America: Brave New World, because they gave away so much of that for that movie in the commercials. So I think this is another reason I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would really agree with that. I obviously talk about this one a lot, but I do think this one is one that they played closer to the vest. And I talked a lot about on my podcast, Infinity Stones, Dragon Bones, the marketing problems that I think they had with what do you do with the Red Hulk? But yeah, this one I'm definitely very excited for. This one is probably one of the Marvel movies I'm most excited for. It's definitely one of my most anticipated movies.
Yeah, it feels like an Avengers movie, just because it's a team up of several different properties. So yeah, very good to see that they still have it in that way. Because it's since Endgame we haven't seen a ensemble Marvel film, right?
Yeah, I think this is the first team up in a hot minute here.
Yeah. All right, so that is my number 3. What is your number 3?
My number 3 is one that you had talked about earlier, obviously, and that is How to Train Your Dragon. I think that, I talked about Lilo and Stitch. I talked about the millennial nostalgia, and then also it's kind of I guess 2010 this one comes out, so it's kind of that fringe of Gen Z and millennials. But I think this is a franchise because they had all these three of these movies are all very, very beloved. I think this is going to be the live action remake that eats Lilo and Stitch's lunch. Obviously, those originals are both from the same creator. He came back to do How to Train Your Dragon. I don't know that this movie needs to exist. The base seems like a shot-for-shot remake, but it looks good. I think that people are going to go and see this one. I think the DreamWorks live action fatigue does not yet exist in the same way that the Disney one does.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just looking at other people's picks, and I put this at 10, and then listening to the episode, I'm like, oh no. I kept listening at like 6, 7, or it's 7, 8, 7, 6. It's higher than, oh shit. So yeah, I have that way too low at 10. I think you're spot on here having it at number 3. Yeah, very good pick. All right, so that puts us to number 2. My number 2 is where I put Lilo and Stitch. Most of the film cast has this as their number 1. I have a number 2, so I'm pretty good positioning there if they're all picks, lead out, bear out there in the same day as Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. So that's possible to put a damper on it. But I think it's still going to make a buttload of money, probably in the, what are we looking at for 1 and 2, 500, 600,000 at that point? 500 million?
Yeah, that's what it would have to make. To get, up in that slot.
Yes, that's that's where I put Mr. Lilo and Stitch. What is your number 2?
My number 2, Jurassic World Rebirth. These movies make a lot of money. Yeah. I mean, hey, and you've been the whole time saying, well, the film cast had it this one at like number 1 and 2 pretty much across the board. So
yes.
Like I said, I already said my piece on this one. These movies make money.
They make a bank. Yeah, everyone has a 1 or 2.
Yes,
I think the lowest Peter Soretta has it at number 3. So yeah, you're in good company there. So my number 1 film, I think this is one of the biggest mistakes I've made this year so far.
Yes.
Overestimating.
Yes, I know. I did the math and I figured out which one it is. But go ahead.
Number 1 is Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. It's a send-off, man. He's gonna die. He's going off in the sunset. He's gonna go join Bruce Wayne in Italy, probably, and tipping off one of his teammates over there, having in Rome or somewhere in France, having a drink, having a wine drink.
You don't think he's gonna get like a disease that kills the woman he loves or something? So they're gonna blow up him like they did in fucking James Bond or whatever the fuck happened in that movie.
Right. It could be. But yeah, he'll come back somehow. But I do think there is that, like, yeah, man, this is the final one for now. Yeah.
Damien, that's really funny because, as I had figured out what you were going to put at number 1, I did a little bit of research, which was hard because you have a different username every single year because you're forgetting your password.
Yep.
But last time there was a Mission Impossible movie, 2023. Do you know what place that you had Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning at?
Number 1, baby, with a bullet.
No, you had it at number 2. Do you know what place it? So you gave it. You had even more faith in this one, but you still had that one significantly higher than anyone else.
Right.
Me or any of the Summer Movie Wager people. Do you know what place it actually came in?
I'm gonna say 9.
8. So
8.
We'll see if it works out any differently for you this time.
Yeah.
But you're consistent. You're consistent.
Exactly. Consistently bad. All right. So that's my number 1. Derek, what is your number 1 2025 Summer Movie Wager?
Yes, I think anybody who's been doing the math can figure out at this point that my number 1 is the Fantastic Four First Steps, because of all the reasons we talked about, because it's a Marvel movie, because it's Marvel doing something different. I think it's going to get a big bump. It's got also Pedro Pascal and a lot of other people, that people want to see. I think that people see, knowing that Robert Downey Jr. coming back to the MCU is going to push this one up a lot. I think I think the film past people had this one way too low. I think you might have it too low. I think this is going to be the sleeper hit. I think this movie is going to make fucking bank. I think people are gonna be like, all you're gonna see all the TikTokers, YouTube, like Marvel's back, baby, Marvel's back.
Yeah, of course.
So I might be completely off in this. I might be completely wrong and look the fool. But I think Fantastic Four needs a new title. Is gonna be number 1.
Okay. Yeah, most of the film cast has it 4-ish. Yeah, 4. Yep. All at 4. Fantastic Four at 4 for most people, but you have it at number 1. All right. Good luck to you, sir. Handshakes all around.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes. Handshake. Good luck.
Let me see. Put your name in there so I can see it. Let me see.
Yeah.
Derek.
What's your username?
My name,
just Derek.
Damien S on there.
Damien S. Okay.
Yep. Let's see. So I'll pull you up. Oh, you're right next to me there. Yes. Superman's. Yeah, I think it'll be very close. I think we do wild summer for many reasons. Yes. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
It's going to be very, very interesting. Yes. So with that, we did pretty much a summer movie preview. I have a list here, but I think we've talked about a lot of these. I think we, did most anticipated movies at the beginning of the year, which we covered there. Cover a lot of these there. Anything that you've seen recently, they're like, oh, I'm actually excited for that thing.
We gotta mention our dark horses.
Oh yes, so, sure.
The way this works, like we said, you get 7 points if within 1, 10 points spot on, 13 if it's 1 or 10 spot on, and if it's within 2, 5, and then if it's on the list at all 3. But dark horses, if those are like your audibles, your extra options, you get 1 point if any of the dark horses make it. So Damien, what are your dark horses?
Yes, so I have a couple you've mentioned. My first dark horse is Final Destination Bloodlines. So that'll be that was talked about that being the horror thing of this year. Was Mithrigan the first one in there? I believe that was probably a huge moneymaker that year. But yeah, like you said, the Black Phone made a stupid amount of money for a horror movie. I think this is like you said, the nostalgia is very hot with us, for the millennials.
Yes.
Definitely
we love that shit.
We love it.
I'm gonna give it to us.
Yum. Little pea. Yum. All right, which one of your dark horses?
So I mentioned Bad Guys 2 might appear on my list. This is where it's at. It's one of my dark horses, for all of the reasons you said.
Yeah.
I couldn't quite put it on my list. There was none of the movies I would want to kick off to put it on, but I put it on the dark horse.
Nice. My second dark horse is from the world of John Wick, Ballerina. I think there's always a John Wick in there, or a John Wick type, or some. Speaking of genre movies like horror, there's sometimes an action movie that'll sneak in there. So I think this one will be it if it's any of them.
Yeah, John Wick, I could see definitely getting on there. I just didn't have a spot for it on my list or on my honorable mentions, so didn't quite make it. But I could see it sneaking on. Yeah.
What's your second dark horse?
My second one is one you had alluded to a bit ago. With its first one, this is the sequel. This is Matugan, Matugan 2.0, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I hated the first one. So but a lot of people saw it, so they'll probably see this one too, especially if she does a little dance on TikTok.
Let's see. Domestic. What did it do? 3 in domestic box office. Let's see. Did it make 30 million opening? Interesting. Gross domestic 95 million. So yeah, entirely possible.
Yeah, that's probably right there where it's like at the cutoff. It'll probably be like 11 or 12.
Yeah. So that was your second one. My third one is also Megan 3, Mithrigan 2, coming at you, June 27th. What is your third and final dark horse pick?
One I'm surprised didn't show up at all on your list, which is Karate Kid Legends. Karate Kid, nostalgia's hot, baby, like we were saying.
Yes.
Cobra Kai, people love Karate Kid. Bringing the Jackie Chan, the Ralph Macchio together to do some crane kicks. I think it's going to make a decent amount of money, enough that I think it could slip into the top 10, maybe kick out Bloodlines or something like that. Who knows? Yeah,
it's entirely possible. I was watching something. Oh, do you know who's in that? Like, the Jackie Chan and Will Smith's kid is going to probably be in that, and Ralph Macchio. What did I see a clip of somebody punching, and I was like, oh, he's actually jacked. Joshua Jackson from freaking Dawson's Creek and Fringe and all that stuff.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah. All right, so there, we did the whole thing. Summer Movie Wager 2025. Yeah. Good luck.
We wagered it. Yeah,
we wagered it. Anything, like I was saying before, anything you've seen recently, because sometimes major films will actually just be announced throughout the year and become out pretty soon. Anything you've seen recently that's got your mojo going?
Not really. Honestly, I think that's about it. We talked about all the big ones, all the big releases. I don't think there's anything. I'm probably forgetting something, but nothing I can think of.
Yeah, I thought I've seen a trailer or two. I'm trying to look up trailers I might see. What did I see recently? I was like, holy shit. Something that I was very interested in seeing. Here it is. Let me pull up my history. A bunch of Patrick Willems stuff, conversations. Let's see. Bad Thoughts, some weird Tom Segura movie. It looks like God Bless America Part 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Now You See Me, Now You Don't, coming out this summer.
Which finally got the title right. They finally got the goddamn title right. Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
Took them a while, but they are here. The second movie from Barbarian's director, his name is escaping me right now, but trailer for his new movie. John Barbarian, exactly. His new movie, Weapons, had a trailer come out recently, starring Josh Brolin, Julia Gardner, and Benedict Wong, and Alden Ehrenreich. So, looks interesting to me.
Okay.
Yeah. But I believe that was it for now. Yeah, for now, let's get to what we've been watching. I binged the new season of Black Mirror. Are you still Black Mirror virgin over there?
I mean, I've seen it. I've not seen this season though. Yeah, we've talked about it on the show before. Like I know that they did the one I'm most interested in is like the Star Trek one because the USS Callister. I love that episode. I know they did a follow up with How I Met Your Mother. What's her name from the Penguin? Christina Milioti, I think.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah, but I'm that's the one I'm excited to see because I love that first one. So I'm like, I don't even know how you do a follow up, but I'm down to check it out.
Yeah, that's really, really good. I think Dave Chen talked about this on Decoding TV, but it's definitely a return to form. Last entry, the last season was like an experiment where he did like horror and investigate and thriller. Yeah, really, really, really hit or miss.
It was like Red Mirror, they would call it when it was like a horror episode.
Yeah. So I was not a fan of that one, but won't spoil too much about this season or all the other episodes, but it's really, the first one is very OG Black Mirror. It's very getting back to its roots of just like
someone fucks a pig.
Someone fucked a pig. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's like, it's about a relationship and about like the lengths you'll go to save the person you love, and money wise, and it very much delves into like healthcare industry of how you will basically have to sell your life away just to be able to survive, not even like thrive, not even like recover completely, just to be like, hey, to keep this person alive, I have to do X, Y, and Z. And it's really, I think a lot of the criticism of the show is like, yeah, no shit, man, we know it's bad, and you're just kind of describing the present without looking into the future and kind of telling us what might there be. And I think there's a really good combination of like right now and our voyeuristic tendencies and our like Twitch and YouTube and did a lot of stuff they touched on in Nosedive about like our social profile and our social impact, and how we're just doing anything for money, and how you basically have to not deride but like degrade yourself just to live in this world now. So it's very, very good. Really liked it a lot. So yeah.
Very nice.
There was very nice. Yeah.
You watched the whole season?
Most of it. I have still the last episode. I actually have the one you're looking forward to watch, the Callister last. I have that one saved up. So
saving the best for last.
The best for last. Yeah, hopefully. So let's go back to you, or let's go to you. You checked out a movie I'm very interested to check out because it stars Carey Mulligan, one of my favorite actresses working today. The Ballad of Wallis Island. What'd you think of this?
I had a really good time with this. It's just a quaint little movie. By this singer-songwriter who also like stars in it, and he just kind of plays a folk singer who's past his prime. He used to be part of this folk duo, him and Carey Mulligan, who are also romantically involved. And then they kind of get brought to this island as like to do a reunion essentially. And it's a very, very small island, you know, and it's just kind of this quaint little fun indie movie. Carey Mulligan's really the only person you will recognize in it, but all the performances are great. The songs are great. If you like a good movie like a Sing Street or like a Once, something like that, it has the same kind of vibes. And it's you know, one of those movies with like a cast of like 4. Yeah, I love it. I love a good rainy little island with a bunch of rocks on it. So yeah, the vibes were immaculate in this one. I had a really good time with it.
Nice. I really want to check it out. I would have seen that, and I would have seen it with a movie called Ephus. Have you heard of Ephus? Ephus?
No, I have not.
I think you might like it. Let me put it in the link it for you in there. It's like Everybody Wants Some. It's sort of a hangout movie with, except Everybody Wants Some was, you know, college students, and this is sort of those college students never left their town and played baseball every weekend. So it's like a Clerks sort of thing. It's like the nostalgia, but for your 40s, I guess. When the thing you enjoy, your hobby, starts to catch up with you, and I think it's something where the baseball park they're playing at is going to be demolished, so it's like one last game before that happens. So yeah, it was one I really was looking forward to checking out as well as the Ballad of Wallis Island.
You didn't get to see it?
Did not unfortunately get to see it.
Okay.
Would have liked to very much. But yeah, there's that. Also checking out, what did I watch a little bit of after Black Mirror, some TV shows that I really want to catch up on. Yeah, I mean, Andor's out. Do you want to talk a little Andor of what you've seen?
You can talk a little Andor. Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously, so they've been releasing it in these batches where they did for season 1. They released the first 3 episodes all together, and then they did it week to week. This time they are releasing them in these batches of 3, where they're kind of these mini arcs. Because I guess originally they had planned out to do 5 seasons, and they're like, you know what, that's gonna take us way too long. Let's just do 2 seasons, and we'll do these 3 episode little batches. So they've been every week releasing 3 episodes, which I actually really like. I think it's a really perfect middle ground between the 2 ways that they release stuff on streaming now, which is either dropping that shit all at once and you kind of have to like, you can binge it and like it's all up to date, but like it doesn't stay in the cultural zeitgeist. You don't really have anything to look forward to, or like week to week, which is good, but then it's like, okay, I just watched 1 episode of Severance. I had to wait another week to watch anything else. This is a nice middle ground where it's like, okay, good. I got a good chunk of stuff. I can work my way through this for a couple days. And then I just have to wait a little bit. And then there's 3 more, you know? So I think it's a really good middle ground when it comes to releasing stuff. And I hope we see more stuff like this. As far as the show itself is concerned, it's phenomenal. It's fantastic. It is so relevant and poignant. It is about standing up to a totalitarian government. What that means, it's using it through the lens of Star Wars, but doing some really great stuff about like how revolutions work and infighting and the way that these governments oppress you, and you know the way they use propaganda and stuff like that. So I think it's phenomenal. Everyone on it is so good. I've watched so far like 4 episodes, so the first batch and then a little bit of the second batch. And I cannot recommend it highly enough. So anyone out there, if you're not watching Andor for whatever reason, go watch it now. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, I can't wait to check it out. I think I've seen some of the first episode, and I listened to Tony Gilroy talk on The Watch about, you know, the writing of the first few episodes. And one of the major ideas he came away from the show, one of the major ideas that I was really impressed by, and the reason I listened to the interviews by people like that is because he gets very much into the creative process of writing it. And he was saying how the thing that people come away from the show most impressed by, he said, is not easy, but it's one of the easiest. It's much easier than, like he was saying, the thing that people were impressed by the show was the monologues. And he was saying how those are like I forgot how he phrased it, but he's like, that's the home run. That's like the thing everyone's impressed by, but nobody likes a bunt. It was a different analogy, but he was basically saying like those speeches are like the frosting, and they're like the confetti, and it's like those are the things that are not easy to do, but not as hard as like getting people in rooms together. Trying to find a naturalistic cohesive way of getting people just in rooms together, just to have a reason for these major characters to be nice to each other, to have conversations, and then the conflict just naturally comes from that, he said. But he said the scaffolding, the nuts and bolts of making a show, well, he said the hardest part for him is those things nobody thinks about, of trying to find a reason for people, because I think the first three has Andor like separated, right, from a lot of his main compatriots. Yeah, so that's what he was talking about when talking about the first three, which he only talked about because they were out at that time. Where he's saying like, yeah, the hardest part of this isn't, like he said, part of is visually, like visualizing this whole world and talking to the visual effects crew and saying, I want to do this. And they're like, okay, we'll try it on this budget. But, and also just, I love hearing writers talk about their process because, he was saying how he had some of his kids in this, I guess, and they were just over one night, they were celebrating something and they were just talking, and he was like, the way you look is interesting, the way you talk is interesting, so I'm just going to put you in the show because I like this conversation we had. But yeah, very fascinating talk with the guy that I think is one of the great writers, of the last like 20, 30 years.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I'm a big Tony Grilloy fan. I love the Bourne films, especially the first two. So yeah, big fan of his, and I've loved all the stuff that he's done on this so far.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to give a quick shout out to The Last of Us. I don't know if you've watched any of the new season.
No, I haven't. Like, this thing is like there's too much good TV coming out right now, so I haven't gotten to see it yet.
Yeah, that's my issue with Andor. It's good. It's very good. Again, I think we don't want to spoil it too much but I think if you've seen the show, obviously, and if you play the game, obviously, and I think you've probably had this conversation. I just jettisoned it from my brain, but do you know a lot about what's in the plot of this season?
I don't know what happens in this season. No.
You don't know. Okay. Yeah, it's they fell closely to the game. It's very emotionally affecting, even though it's even though I saw it coming, right? And so the moment to moment thing, the second by second thing, it comes not out of nowhere, but even though it doesn't come out of nowhere, it's still shocking and crushing and very well acted and all of that stuff. And I think it's also like, I think it's impossible to not bring up stuff like Game of Thrones and Walking Dead, the other prestige genre shows of the last 20 years, because this episode also deals with a major battle with a lot of players, and I think they do an amazing job of like shooting it in a way you don't lose people. I think major criticisms of later seasons of Game of Thrones was how badly it was shot, not just the darkness, but also just basic cinematography, basic like geography of where is this person in relative to that other person. So I think they did a very good job of keeping it all squared away so you know exactly where people are. So really, really amazing episode of television. Episode 2, that's what I'm talking about. Episode 2 is very good. First season does a very good job of catching you up. It's a 5-year time jump. I don't know if that's too big of a spoiler, but it's a big time jump there.
I think I know what happens. I'm not sure if I'm remembering it right or not. Because I didn't play it, but I think I might have heard something, and I'm like, I don't know if that's true, but yeah, we'll see. That's all I'll say.
I'll leave it there. Yeah, really good show. Yeah. So check out Last of Us on HBO, the one to watch for Max. I love it. Love saying that. You also checked out something this week, the Beach That Makes You Old. Is that correct?
Yeah, The Beach That Makes You Old. That M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Yeah.
You gotta say the whole title. Most people just shorten it to Old, but I like to call it by its whole proper name.
It's cleaner
Beach
somehow.
That Makes You Old. Yeah, because that's what the beach does. Getting drunk with my girlfriend and her roommate, and we're like, let's watch a movie, and her roommate was like, let's watch Old, and I was like, all right. And we watched it, and it was fucking terrible. It's a bad movie that makes no. It's one of those movies where it's like someone had an idea, and the idea was clearly, what if there was a beach that makes you old? And then they wrote a script around that idea, and it doesn't work at all. And it's very silly and stupid, and it's just very contrived, and it's a lunacy. It's like it's bad Shyamalan.
Yeah.
So you know what? Hey, but it's very camp, and it was fun to watch drunk because it was just ridiculous. And the beach made everyone old, or it was the rocks that made you old.
We'll never know, unfortunately. Yeah.
They do. I think they do explain it in the movie. But I wasn't paying attention.
Yep, neither was I. I mean, to be a body horror person, and like I think there was a lot of that in this movie, so that was cool. But yeah, just swinging a whiff by Mr. Shyamalan. Yeah. By the end, I was like, this is he's trying to be like De Palma and Hitchcock, or more, I think Hitchcock mostly because.
Well, he's really trying to be Hitchcock his whole career.
Yeah, especially with this one, with the whole like him watching them from the top there, and yeah.
I know this is like a 3-year-old movie, but it was so weird I had to talk about it. Like it's such an insane movie. Rufus Sewell also giving good villain in this, as he always does. I love Rufus Sewell as a good villain.
Yeah, like it's. I don't want to just slam on this movie more than we've already have, but the girl getting pregnant was like, I could tell it was like trying to be shocking, but it's just like, that's gross and weird, and not in an entertaining way. It's just gross and weird. That's the part that stuck out to me the most, and obviously the woman who had some sort of degenerative bone disease, and
and then it kept like healing too quickly in the wrong way, so she was like,
yep.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of Cabin in the Woods or whatever the second one, the one after that was either.
Yeah, it was a Cabin at the End of the World.
Yep. And I still haven't seen Trap, which I was looking through these best of the year lists recently, and a lot of people put Trap in their top 10. I was like, what the fuck?
That's insane. Honestly? Like, I liked Trap more than most people, but that's just because Josh Hartnett is clearly having the time of his life.
Yeah.
Like, he's just like having a great time being an evil girl dad. It's so good. He's like, I'm a hot evil girl dad. It's me, Josh. And I'm like, I'm down for this. The movie makes no sense. The plot is ridiculous, but like he's just finding creative ways to kill security guards and shit and just having fun. So I liked it. It wasn't good.
Amazing. All right. So you also saw Light and Magic. I believe this is a documentary involving George Lucas.
Yeah, so it's season 2. I was a big fan of season 1 of Light and Magic, which is of course about ILM, Industrial Light and Magic. Season 1 covered kind of the early years of ILM, starting with its inception as basically we need to make a special effects company for Star Wars, and what it grew into over the course of the 80s. This one kind of goes through and then this into the early 90s. This one kind of like is the following years after that. Joe Johnston, who is one of my favorite directors and also somebody who got started as just like a guy working for ILM, directed this season. This season's only 3 episodes as opposed to 6 that was the first season, but this kind of goes through like the prequels and George Lucas developing like digital filmmaking and having that summit with Robert Rodriguez and all those guys where it's like this future of filmmaking, and just kind of how technically and innovative he was. And then it also talks about like Davy Jones and how impressive that character was, and a lot of stuff they did in the early aughts. So if you're a big Star Wars fan, or if you're like interested in film, I think this is a really good watch. The whole documentary series is really great. Yeah,
that's definitely right up my alley. I was watching Patrick Williams videos before, and that's very much like it's not exactly about the lighting and all that background stuff, but it's very much about like how to watch movies, how movies are shot now versus a few years ago even. So yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
So, and one more on your list, we got Not Just a Goof. Tell me about this.
Yeah. So do you know what this is?
I do not know.
Okay, so this is another documentary.
Yeah.
This is another documentary. This one is a documentary about the Goofy movie. And that's a movie that I liked as a kid, nostalgia once again. But it's surprisingly poignant and touching about this kind of like, lower tier Disney movie. It's interesting because it goes into kind of how Katzenberg was one of the people championing it, and then he got fired, and they had no budget. This is the era of the Disney Renaissance when they're making all these masterpieces and classics, and that's this is a silly movie with Goofy comes out. But how great like of a father-son story it is, and how touching it is, and how it made all the impact on these people's lives. So I really dug it. I think, if you've seen a Goofy movie, if you have any nostalgia for it, it's a really good watch. And it's also, I love movies. I love documentaries about movies. Obviously, I just talked about ILM, but there's that quote from Community where Abed's always just like, Hearts of Darkness is way better than Apocalypse Now. And I kind of like vibe with that, like I love a doc about movie, the behind the scenes process of it, and it also talks about how they made it, all this stuff, like the the thought process behind it, and all these different iterations that it went through, and how it became such a touching thing, and then the effect that it's had on the fan base. So I think that as a film buff, this is an essential watch.
Nice, yeah. What is the song from it? I'm trying to find it here.
Oh, Powerline, Eye to Eye. It's like spelled like I to I.
Yeah. Amazing.
Like it's really fucking great. I have a Powerline shirt. I remember going on a cruise and like hanging out with this group of people, and one of them was like, "Check out my wife's leg," and she had like a Powerline tattoo, and I was like, "That's so fucking."
Yes, the things I remember about this movie, I've seen this movie, a dozen times at least. There's on heavy rotation. Couple things I remember about this movie was, what's the girl's name that he has a crush on?
Oh, Roxanne. Oh Roxanne, my god, dude, Roxanne. Amazing. The love of my life, Roxanne.
Yep. And the second thing I remember of this movie is how good the pizza looked. Just like it's had that.
Oh, that dripping cheese.
Dripping cheesy. Fucking Pauly Shore. That had to be Pauly Shore, right? No, it wasn't.
It was Pauly Shore, yeah. Yes, it was. It was Pauly Shore.
Doesn't have his name on here. Let's see. Bill Farmer was Goofy. Jason Marsden as Max Goof. Jim Cummings. Let's see. Jim Cummings.
Yeah, Pauly Shore, man.
Where does it say that? I'm on the Wikipedia.
I just Googled Goofy movie cast. Pauly Shore is like the fourth person listed.
Let me see.
He plays Bobby Zimmerowski.
Bobby Zimmerowski. Okay. Why doesn't it have on Wikipedia? That's very strange.
I don't know, man. I don't run Wikipedia. I mean, I guess I could technically.
You could.
Anyone go and could. Change
it. Goofy. Let me see. That's bothering me now that I don't see it. Let me see. IMDb's stars. Jim Cummings.
Yeah, you just scroll down to voice cast on the Wikipedia page. Tevin Campbell and Pauly Shore make uncredited appearance. Okay, so he's uncredited. Yeah, so he was uncredited, but he was in the movie.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. So with that,
mystery solved. If anybody was Wikipediaing Goofy movie and wondering where Pauly Shore is, we've gotten to the bottom of it.
Yeah. He's a good guy. Like I think him and like a couple people got better after be like, "You're a goofy idiot. Go away." He's like, "He's fine. Leave him alone."
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
Biodome was fine.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so I think that's about it. Just want to read this article real quick. I forgot to do it. I had a third, but jumped right over it. Actually a couple of rule changes and category additions coming to Oscars 2027, I believe, right? Not next year's, but the year after that. So the big rule is that voters must now watch all the nominated movies. I think they had something in here where it was already a rule for documentary and best international feature, but now it's going to be enforced for all of them. And the first question is obviously, well, how are you going to enforce that? I don't know. Yeah. They don't know either, but I think it's good that they're just like, yeah, we know that it's a problem that people aren't watching these things, even though there's literally their job, to make these and to watch them. Sure. But yeah, I think it's a good thing to be at least for them to acknowledge it's a problem, and they're going to try to enforce it some way.
Yeah, there's a Larry David, very Larry David rule. It's like, you gotta watch the movies. What are you doing?
Exactly. I'm trying to Google furiously the other topic, which was the new categories, right?
I know that stunts is the big one that I'm excited because people listening to the show know that I've been like, where the fuck is the stunts Oscar? It's finally happening, and everyone's like, of course, it's like after Mission Impossible is over. Mission Impossible would have won all these awards. Best stunts. So glad that we're getting a category in that because stunt people deserve this recognition. There's incredible stuff. This is a category that is long, long, long overdue, and I'm glad we're finally getting it.
Yeah, it's like the first thing people ever did in movies was stunt work. Yeah. Like literally. Yeah. I could have sworn there was another one. Best casting. Did you hear about this?
Oh, that's cool. That is essential. Casting is something that most people don't think about, but that is such an essential thing in a movie.
It very much is. It's like the entire reason any movie works, especially the Marvel movies where casting was like spot on for so much of the of that universe. Yeah. All right, so that was that. Let's move on to Letterboxd assignments. I think last time we talked, you had watched some of Dreamcatcher. Is this correct?
Yeah, and then I got a new assignment, so we're going on to the new one.
Okay, all right. So newest assignment was Elementa. Let me pull it up for you. It's like a environmental climate documentary feature. Is this what this is?
Sure, sort of. It's just black and white footage of a bunch of animals. It's for 30. It's a dentist office ass movie. Like it's called a documentary, but it's like B-roll is what it is. You know, it's if you like watching black and white footage of animals, and occasionally some ice melting, you'll get a kick out of it. But yeah, it's a very dentist office ass thing, you know. So yeah.
What is that movie? Kiyosaki? About the
the one everyone loves but you fucking hated.
I hated.
Give it like half a star on Letterboxd. I haven't seen it, but I just love how like I looked at it. It's like 5 stars across the board. Damien Sherman. Fuck this movie. This movie is torture.
It is torture.
I would rather have Chinese water torture than watch this movie. Damien Sherman.
Love being a contrarian. That's what I do. That's my whole life. So yeah, that's cool. So seems like a mix between like Werner Herzog and Animal Planet. Not Animal Planet. What's the Planet Earth? That sort of thing.
Oh. Yeah, except there's no narration. Like both those things have narration. This is literally just stock. It's just B-roll. It's just stock footage, you know. Not stock footage because they filmed it for the movie, but like it's B-roll.
Yeah. I did not watch my the assignment was Destroyer. I've heard good things about it. Checked out the
First Time for Everything.
First Time for Everything. So seems interesting. Scoop McNairy, Toby Huss, Sebastian Stan making a weird appearance. This must have been around the time of I, Tonya, around 2018. Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. Right. Yeah. So might check it out for next time. For next time, also more Last of Us. I think we have Love, Death, and Robots to look forward to. Also on Netflix, or not also, but on Netflix for Love, Death, and Robots. Also like Black Mirror, which I was thinking of there. More Andor. I think 4, 5, and 6 just premiered. Either as you're listening to this week, so that'll be out for that. 25th anniversary. Speaking of nostalgia for millennials, 25th anniversary re-release of Revenge of the Sith. I saw, what's his name? Christian, Mr. Darth Vader himself.
Oh, Hayden Christensen.
Hayden Christensen and Samuel L. Jackson were doing some promo out at the not the Vista, one of those classic LA places. Yeah, one of those places. They were doing some did some lightsaber action, which was pretty cool. Introducing that. So yeah, one of my favorite ones. I specifically remember doing one with Deanne a few years ago when we were doing it in person. And we were doing like best lightsaber fights, and this was probably our number one. Something funny that I remember specifically from the episode. So we were recording like around June 2019, I think, maybe even later, because I know Game of Thrones had just finished. And the big thing about Game of Thrones is, if you haven't seen it, she does this like fairly well-known move where you take a knife and the person's holding your arm, and so you just drop the knife and grab it with the other hand and stab the dude. You know, that old song and dance. Yeah, that thing. Arya had just done that to the Night King, and we're watching like a compilation of something on YouTube of best lightsaber scenes, and the one from The Last Jedi came up out of nowhere, and she did the same thing, like, what the fuck? They stole it! They stole this thing that's been around for 20 years, but we were blasted at that point, so we were like, holy shit, it's the same thing from the thing.
It's the same thing. No one's ever done that before.
No one's ever done that before. What? Insane. But yeah, obviously the Revenge of the Sith has one of the best. Do you think, put you on the spot here, Derek, do you think that's one of the best or the best lightsaber fight scenes in Star Wars history?
It's one of the best. The best one is, of course, the Duel of Fates in episode 1. That fucking rips so goddamn hard to the point where they kind of like, we're like, this is like the new Duel of the Fates, where like even the theme is kind of like riffing on that theme a little bit. Yeah. It's more emotionally resonant. But it's a Duel of Fates is so fucking good. It's so fucking good. It's
very good. What was I going to say about that? Oh yeah, it's sort of a bookend. Duel of the Fates episode 1 and this fight, because
it's like poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah, Anakin does the flip that he sees. I know he didn't see him do it. Obviously, he wasn't there. But Obi-Wan doing a flip over Darth Maul, cutting him in half. Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert, he survives that to go on to the Clone Wars animated show. I flipped my shit when I saw Solo, the end of Solo, and Darth Maul was there. I was like, what the fuck? Because I hadn't seen any of the animated shows at that point. No,
I hadn't either, but I had known about it from knowing too many nerds.
Yes. So yeah, going back to Revenge of the Sith, I'd be very excited to see that in a theater with nerds cheering it. So yeah. So that's actually out right now as you're listening to this. Also, The Accountant 2 has been out for a while as you're listening to this. They just did an episode on the Big Pick about trash gunfights or trash something like that. Something along those lines of like they do a lot of like trash crime movies. So that'll be like that'll be your 27 Bridges, whatever that movie was called, something like that, right? What's the movie that tried to be Heat and they just made a sequel to it just recently?
I have no idea. The Bridges one that was like Chadwick Boseman, one of the last movies.
That was a different one that I'm thinking of. Gerard Butler. Be cool.
This is riveting shit.
Greenland Migration, not that one. Den of Thieves. Den of Thieves Part 2 came out this year.
Oh, Den of Thieves. And the Heat for Dummies.
Heat for Dummies. That's when they call it crime thriller, crime, dirty crime, garbage crime. It's called it garbage crime. So they called this like garbage revenge. I don't know, but it was in there. We have like probably a drama called Winter, Spring, Summer, Fall. We have a video game adaptation called Until Dawn. I've not played any of these games. Have you?
No, I've not even heard of that.
No, yeah, it's popular like QTE, quick time event style game where you're it's like a Resident Evil but more
press X and the zombie will get you.
Exactly. Yeah. Press F to pay respects. Is the classic one.
Yes, of course.
I have a preview here. I have a name here that of a movie called Legend of Ochi. It looks very, very interesting. I've seen
this trailer a bunch of times.
Have you? Yeah, looks interesting.
Yeah.
The A24 coming out from A24 this year.
It looks like the most A24 ass thing you'll ever see.
It does. Looks very like Marcel the Shell coded. Very Swiss Army Man in that vein of
the style is what AI steals from. If you like, it looks like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It'd be very, very funny if somebody made a movie about that. Of like, we're gonna kill AI. AI is about to eat us, and they all transform into that weird, smooth, shiny look. Yeah. Another movie that's been out for a while. I think there's a review today on a Big Pick about it. Havoc, the new Garth Evans. I always confuse Evans and Edwards. The directors, Garth Edwards and Garth Evans.
I know Garth Edwards. He was the other guy who did Rogue One besides Tony Gilroy.
Yes. So this movie is not directed by Gareth Evans. This movie is directed by Gareth Evans of the Raid fame. Some of the most acclaimed action directors of the last 20 years. Stars Tom Hardy, Jesse Miley, and Justin Cornwell. They talked about this in the Big Pick, and they said the first hour drags a little bit, but it's worth it for like the middle 40 minutes, I guess, one of those types. It'd be very interesting. I am fascinated by Tom Hardy. He was in The Bike Riders last year, one of my favorite movies from that year. And then he does Venom and now this. So it's like, he's one of those guys that just seems like he just does what he wants, doesn't really care about.
Do you think he's going to do a weird voice in Havoc?
I think, I think there is a chance. Put my foot down. But risking it all, saying yes, probably will have a weird voice. Let's see. So the following week, I get this pulled up here. You can't see this, but it's Clown in a Cornfield. Speaking of weird horror movies that might make a lot of money, Clown in a Cornfield is based on
the YA book.
Yes. Exactly. I don't know if you're making a joke, but I know it's a popular book, popular-ish book.
No, it's literally in the YA section.
Okay. There's a few authors that work either in YA, but there's also authors that work in like what's called extreme horror, where it's like Hellraiser type, just like he ripped his throat out and his whatever comes out of his throat and his guts are wrapped around his. It's very descriptive. That same week, this movie called Friendship is coming out. I was at the theater a couple of weeks ago and I was like, where's this? Oh, the Friend. I saw this movie called The Friend. I was like, oh, is that the new Paul Rudd movie directed by Tim Robertson? I was like, oh, can't wait to check that out. And no, it was not. I didn't end up seeing it, thankfully. So I looked up ahead of time and I was like, oh, you tricked me, you sons of bitches. All right. So there's that, I think. Yeah, for that week. Yeah, this is such a weird freaking season. It's like, Thunderbolt's coming out May 2nd. That's going to open it. May 16th, we have Final Destination Bloodlines. So that we have that to look forward to in May. I guess that'll be a couple of weeks for Mission Impossible and Lilo and Stitch. So, get that look forward to.
Summer.
It's going to be very interesting. Very interesting. All right, so with that, go to my Substack, Damien J. Sherman, Substack.com. Go to Letterboxd, Midnight Film Pod, some number away from some number. Go there and check it out.
Number away from, that's how it usually works.
Yeah, go there and tell me exactly how many there is. Leave a review. A lot of people actually go to my reviews and leave comments and likes and stuff, so that's pretty cool. Even the older ones. Yeah. So go there and do that. Go to Film Essayist on YouTube. Go to Spotify for podcasters and check out all my interviews with, last year I did it with Anthony Gallegos. He works on the Subnautica games. He works for the game developer whose name is escaping right now. But they're very popular games. I think they're coming out with a new one very soon. I'm very excited for that. So check that.
What about Letterboxd Shuffle?
Letterboxd Shuffle.
I mean, you still have yours to watch, but I guess I gotta do a new one.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. Yes, go to your Letterboxd watch list. If people don't know, we go to our Letterboxd watch list. We have hundreds on there. I think we pared it down a little bit. I think you made a new list to make it more.
No, I still have 547. It gets more unwieldy every week. I keep adding shit.
Yeah, so I probably have a similar amount. So go to your watch list, hit the shuffle button, and tell me what comes up first.
Okay, Almost Famous. Yeah,
wow.
All right.
It's a blind spot and a half.
It is. It really is. So gonna check this one out. Been feeling that missing chunk there, that blind spot.
Cameron Crowe, huge director. Almost Famous, one of the movies I watched over and over again. I've listened to a bunch of people say it's not aged well over the years. I have to revisit it again to see, but it's where so many things come from. I think Film Spotty started around that time and had a similar idea. I know Mark Maron, his intro to the podcast is "Lock the Gates," and it's from this movie. You will see that in this movie. Like, oh, that's where that comes from. I don't know if you listen to enough.
Because I never listened to that podcast.
You never? Wow, that's actually impressive. Like, it's one of the good ones. It's not like the Joe Rogan thing where it started out decent, then went completely sideways. WTF from the beginning up till now has been very good. I've listened to, I think it's up to almost 1,000. I think I probably listened to at least 800 of them. So yeah, big fan of the show. Anyways, so that's your thing, Derek's Almost Famous. All right, and with that, what you got to plug?
Yeah, my plug is the Underrated Movie Podcast, where you can listen to me every other Monday talk about an underrated film, underrated, underappreciated, under the radar, what have you. Obviously, I have my panel that I just did up there recently. The last episode that just got released was A Bug's Life. Talked about how that is, was kind of in the early Pixar ones that gets overlooked. It didn't get a sequel or a spin-off or a TV show or anything. It had a land at Disneyland that quickly got demolished. And then next week is going to be another kind of movie from that Disney period of the 90s, Hercules, which is another one that is beloved, but it doesn't get the love that Aladdin or Lion King or even Mulan gets. So if you were interested in checking it out, or we've got about 160 back episodes of underrated movies, so always looking for people to come on and check all that shit out. If you want to give us a rating, review, whatever, Underrated Movie Podcast, however you're listening to this, or you can go to underratedmoviepodcast.com.
Freaking awesome, dude. All right. So with that, I've been Damien.
I've been Derek.
And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.